Those first two paragraphs.
I wanted to welcome everyone today, and we have Miss Yvonne Secreto and also Miss Evie Fung. I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit more about these ladies and the amazing work that they're doing. So first off, I'm going to start with Miss Yvonne Secreto. Miss Yvonne Secreto is a nurse and entrepreneur, author, and founder of Health Awareness Education Products and Services LLC, the creators of thewellnessgalaxy.com. Later on this evening, she's going to get to tell you a little bit more about what that is. I'm also going to move on to Miss Evie Fong. And let me tell you this, I am thrilled. I am thrilled to introduce you to Evie, the heart and soul behind the uniform meditation, also known as UN. Originally aimed at fostering community bonds, UN swiftly shifted gears amidst the pandemic to support our frontline heroes. Ironically, echoes the hesitant sound, symbolizing the journey of self discovery that Evie champions and wants others to make time for. As a Reiki master, meditation teacher, deaf doula, and spiritual mentor, she empowers individuals to self inquire with compassion and guidance. Her business uniform meditation mission is simple to offer unwavering support to our protective services, responders, frontline warriors. She envisions a world where mental wellness is paramount, empowering those in essential roles to thrive. For the past 3 years, Evie and Yvonne have cultivated a dynamic partnership fueled by their shared commitment to the healing arts community. Yvonne's passion for amplifying biopic voices has been a source of inspiration for Evie, as she has created inclusive educational spaces offering training in Reiki and deaf doula certification. Now, as their bond deepens, they embark on a new collaborative venture, a series of thoughtfully crafted to align with the rhythm of the four seasons, promising enlightenment and inspiration for all who join. Join us on this journey as we demystify self care, explore mental health, and discover new topics together. Through this series, you will find what resonates best with you. Feel free to share this with those you believe could benefit from it. So again, I wanted to thank Miss Evie Fung and Miss Yvonne Sapido for joining us this evening on Facebook Live. They're going to talk and let us know a little bit more about their services and the services they provide. So, ladies, I would like you to go ahead and take it away.
Yvonne, you're muted. Sorry.
Hi, everyone. I'm not staying on long. I'm multitasking, doing many different things. But Evie and I have a partnership where we believe that everyone has a healer within themselves. And so one of our goals is to help people discover that healer and really bring that to the surface. And we do that through workshops and coaching and tools. There's wonderful, wonderful tools that we can use to keep ourselves healthy. Like Evie said, during the pandemic, a lot of us realized that we have to make a commitment to keep ourselves healthy and our families healthy. And so we are championing people to continue in that direction, supporting both holistic natural healing as well as preventive healing. Take it away, Evie.
Sure. So I'll just talk about what I think has been really inspirational for me in my journey of self-care is just knowing that some positions like that I've had have been very stressful. And so I think having that experience, it really pushed me to figure out what does my self-care look like. And so during that journey, I'm lucky to have met Yvonne, who trains me on Reiki. who trained me on becoming a wellness doula. And in that path, I've met Kenya, who I'm so grateful to have crossed paths with, and be able to amplify, our hope to share with you more about wellness. Um, and like Yvonne was saying, wellness is such a big thing to, explore. And I think during the pandemic, it was one of those times where we really had to look within. Um, and so I just want to quickly go through, I think what is important as a foundation is the multidimensional approach of wellness. And that includes the physical wellness, the intellectual wellness, emotional wellness, social wellness, spiritual wellness, vocational wellness, financial wellness, and environmental wellness. And so, what we've put together, like Kenya said, was a outline of weekly sessions we'll have with Kenya that focus on relevant topics for each season. And so Yvonne and I brainstormed on what would be good topics for the spring. Um, the spring we focus on individual sprouting, developing, and flourishing, just like we see in nature. And so some of those topics include brain health, self awareness, strength and physical health, environmental wellness, and work life balance. Similar to the multidimensional approach to wellness, we really wanted to go through those topics. Um, then in the summer, we talked about family wellness, brain health, um, and other innovative tools that Yvonne has really worked with and is a specialist in. And she'll definitely go into some interesting things that maybe you haven't heard of or maybe you have heard of. One of the things that I think have been really innovative is the red light therapy, um, which she's done amazing work with. Um, and so I'm gonna pause there because that's been a mouthful. So Yvonne, is there anything that you want to share?
As we go through the seasons, we will teach people how to use a lot of innovative bioenergetic tools to keep themselves and their families healthy. So just stay tuned for it, is what I want to say. I'm going to be
Definitely.
called away very soon, so you ladies let me know how we need to make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just let us know like when you have to come off, and then we'll you can exit quietly, and then me and Evie will take it over. So, but I'm so grateful just to be able to learn about your services. Most of my experience in learning about doulas is mostly maternal doulas,
Mhm.
and they're um, there to assist birthing mothers and
Mhm.
delivering their babies. So that was most of my education on what doulas are, but it's such an expansive field. And now that I have you two educating me and everyone else on what doulas do, and other different alternative ways of health and wellness, is really really beneficial. And I think it's something that can serve for people that don't want to go through the traditional medicine traditions or doctors. It's a different alternative for people to have an option. So I think that's awesome. I think
Doula,
that's great.
doulas can be
And
surrogate family members. They
mhm.
can like fill
Oh,
in for family.
I remember when you also discussed with me, you also dealt with the aging. And I thought that was
Yeah,
really, really amazing, because
and
that
caregiving.
dealing with aging is like one of the most challenging
Mhm.
situations, dealing with aging parents. And I found that so fascinating that you had that provided that service for families. And I think that is so important. And I definitely want to explore that more, because I do have aging parents myself that would definitely probably need some services. And how to navigate that. Because right now we're just, dealing with we're dealing with a home health company, and they basically provide, a service. But I would like to explore more opportunities on what doulas do for aging parents, and I think that's amazing. And thank you. I'm so thankful to have both of you, that I've come across this and have and able to share this information to everyone, because like I said, people are looking for other alternative resources and helping, and sometimes they don't know where to look.
Right.
And it's just been a blessing that I've been able to connect with Yvonne and get this thing. We've been talking about this for I think years. I think we've been trying to do this for years, and finally, we was able to connect and get this going. And I'm glad you're able to provide a series, so people could get a little more education on what your services are, and also just have the opportunity to learn about the services. And if they have if interest in taking on some of the services you provide, that's going to be beneficial for them and the families and everyone who decides to take on your services. So I think that's great. And also do some collaborating efforts, with some of the agencies that we deal with. I think that would be also a great opportunity as well. So we're just opening up great big doors.
Yes, that would be a dream to work with agencies for sure.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yvonne,
so
did you, you're muted, but did you want to say something
okay, so
about,
we'll see you. We're gonna just it's gonna be me and you, Evie. We'll take it off. We'll take it from here. Yvonne, thank you for joining us. We look forward to starting this series. Hopefully, we'll have some people interacting with us, asking questions. So as we go through the weeks, we'll create flyers, to get people, interested in these services, and also a list of services so they are aware of what is out there, because, some people just don't know. And it's just good that, a great opportunity that you guys are providing. So thank you. Thank you for joining. Have a good night. Be safe, and we'll see you again soon.
I just
All right.
added Yvonne's webpage if anybody wanted to visit her. Her website is thewellnessgalaxy.com.
And it will give you a more detailed explanation of many of the services that she provides. So again, you did read through a list of things that doulas do. I know it's more than just doulas. So
Yeah.
if you can give us a little more details, let me go through maybe I'll go through the list of things that you have listed here. Let's see.
Yeah, and I think the word that it was a perfect word of describing it, expansive. Doulas can be birth doulas, like you mentioned. I had a birth doula, and it was just such a helpful service for me. They're not like clinically trained. They're just there to really like hold space for you, to provide like a handhold or like just aromatherapy, massage, just support. There are also postpartum doulas. So like after you've had a child, they provide services for you and the baby. There's fertility doulas if you're on your journey to, becoming a parent. There's bereavement doulas if you're experiencing grief and loss. There's end of life doulas or death doulas, and that's
as you give us the list.
Yes.
Let's go through the first doula that you mentioned.
Sure.
Just walk us through what someone would expect if they're coming in. Say a couple, they're coming in and they've been having trouble having a baby, and they're looking for help. They're looking for assistance. They may not want to go. The modern technologies might be too expensive for them. So just walk us through what a couple will come in with this type of issue. They're looking to have a baby.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that falls under fertility doula.
Mm-hmm.
If they're having issues, I think one of the most important things is to feel comfortable with whoever your provider is. And I think, like you said, sometimes you just don't feel comfortable. There's just something off. There's maybe it's the doctor, maybe it's the setting, maybe you're not trusting whatever the healthcare industry for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
and doulas come in to help advocate for you. That's the word that came to my mind right away. Is they help give you the information. They have that information from their experience
Mm-hmm.
of going through the type of work that um, fertility doulas do. So they would have an array of contacts. They would know um, the type of doctors that are good service providers, and they also would care about BIPOC people of color, and um, because there is a feeling of not having trust in some of these healthcare settings.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really important that you have the advocacy and the support of whatever's available to you, but just know that doulas are there through that process as well, through your journeys, through your transitions, and becoming a parent is a huge transition.
Yeah, it is. So, what are your success stories looking back, dealing with fertility doulas? Because that's a big thing. There's many women are having issues, fertility issues. So, what would someone expect when they're going through a fertility doula?
So they would expect to speak to the doula, have a consult, talk about their concerns, talk about things that have come up for them. They can dive into past medical history if that's something that they're comfortable sharing. Um, they can also provide, if their doula is open to like energetic work, space for them to talk about like pains in their bodies, pain in their body that may be stagnant. Um, and that just comes into like the type of holistic care that we and integrative care that we uphold, is that the body also is energy. And so if that fertility doula is um, trained in that, they may ask those types of questions as well for like full body, like healing, full body, mind, body, and soul healing. They may speak to, I mean, more than likely they'll speak to also the other parent as well, and just provide a really supportive space
Okay.
for them. They will maybe go to their appointments with them, advocate for them, ask questions that maybe they know are important for their client,
Mm-hmm.
um, and definitely have contacts for them on specialties that they may think could be really important for their client. For example, if their client is in need of some sort of like massage therapy and they're not trained in it, they most likely have clients or contacts that they can refer their client to for those services, because one doula may not know everything, and I think it's important to note that we are a village, and we can count on other people that have specialties to
Right.
also come in and connect um, and just show a different perspective, because sometimes learning about a different perspective just opens the door for so much growth and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so you may go to the fertility doula and then say, now I need a birth doula because I was successful in getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Um, and then maybe that fertility doula is not, the perfect match. And
Right.
then you would have a different doula for that. And I think that's okay. It's okay to go to different service providers. But it's also okay to stay with the same if they provide that service.
So I'm also looking at so I know the biggest thing with fertility, people dealing with fertility issues, the biggest thing for them is the cost. The cost of it. It's so expensive, and some of these, when people go through some of the medical professionals, it gets very, very costly. So, how does a person who's looking for a doula, a fertility doula, how would they combat something like that?
Oh, that's such a great question. That's such a great question because we need resources to be able to do things like that, to see a doctor and have those access points. And I don't think that some of these services, when you are trying to get pregnant through in vitro or um, all the other types of ways that they try to get you pregnant, are covered by insurance. Um, so a fertility doula would most likely try to figure out what the cause of you not being able to get pregnant is. So if it is something like you've tried many times and were unsuccessful, most times health insurance does cover for that reason. And there are other reasons why you would see a fertility doula. Um, and so the reasons are so different.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are also grants out there. So
Okay.
that is something else that a fertility doula can explore with you, the different
Mm-hmm.
types of grants out there and funding that are available to people who want to get pregnant but may have that, that need for some help with the funding.
Now I'm looking also. You have your wellness doulas. What would a wellness doula? What would a wellness doula do?
Oh, I think a wellness doula would probably be a doula that has multiple specialties. Um, More than likely, they've done birth doula, they've done postpartum, they've done fertility, and so they're considered more like multiversed in wellness, and so they may have also done end of life doula work, and that was what I trained in, is the end of life part.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so yeah, I think when we say wellness doula, we mean like a full spectrum doula that can offer um, support from pregnancy to end of life.
It's so interesting. I came across because usually commute in the morning with some ladies, and like I said, I came across the doula term first time riding the subway with one of my you know person I share a ride with, and she started discussing about the doula that helps with caring when you're pregnant. So I found it very interesting. She was like, she, I feel like I'm being replaced. So I found that to be very interesting. It seems like many of the young people now, that's where they're kind of moving towards more holistic approaches and doulas and just other alternatives. Because not every, I mean, not everybody has the full trust in medicine, so they want
Right.
to do other alternatives. So
Exactly.
I found it very interesting. I thought it was interesting because they kind of take on the role, like if you have a mom or a mother-in-law, sometimes your mother-in-law will be that person when you're pregnant to kind of put, they've been through the process, so they kind of take those steps in telling you, oh, this is what the baby needs, and this is what you have to do to feel better, or you know, um, uh, go on long walks to make your birthing process a little easier.
Mhm.
So those are like things like people did like in the old school days. They would tell you, you go for a long walk if you want to deliver early.
Mm.
Take a nice long walk. There were like so many other things that you were able to do in place to help you along with your pregnancy. And a lot of people now moving towards doulas and not really taking the advice of their parent or family member. They rather they're like, no, I want to seek out what services a doula will provide. So I found that so interesting when I came across.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can completely relate to you. I had no idea that doulas existed until I was like, I need support, and I really needed support during my pregnancy, and I was really grateful to know that there is help out there. And a lot of times, I think, well, I can speak for myself as a woman. I think everything is something that I can do, and sometimes it's okay. It's okay to ask for help, and um, when your child's an infant and you're breastfeeding like every hour, you're gonna need to sleep, and
Yeah.
so asking for help and being open to um, the doulas is I think a really helpful resource. And also, a lot of doulas have had children themselves. They've gone through the whole process, and now they just want to help people. Um, and I think having that support, having that person next to you, um, they can also meet with your family. They can talk with your family. You can discuss things, and it's just that extra level of support that I think is really great that it's out there.
I was looking at also your parenting doula. So even as you go through life, your child begins to grow, and sometimes the child comes with problems. Sometimes I'm not going to say. I don't know how I could phrase that differently, but maybe not problems, but maybe they have a learning curve.
Yeah.
Maybe they have some type of behavioral issue. Um, maybe maybe they have a disability that you're unaware of. So when does those parenting doulas come? Like, when does a person seek out a parenting doula? Because sometimes you don't notice when your child is having a problem until someone points it out to you. So, like, sometimes if your child is in school age, they'll be like, okay, your kid is kind of behind with the other kids. So, how does a parenting doula help a person dealing with a child that may go through those different situations, whether it be mental, physical, behavioral? What do parenting doula do?
So I'm so glad you asked that question, because, like you said, sometimes you find out that there's some sort of disconnection happening once the child is either failing in school, or it feels like it's almost like too late to try to do something so that they can pass,
Mm-hmm.
and that is really disheartening, I think. But there are advocates out there, and like you said, there's parenting doulas that can help people that feel like they need to talk to perhaps a person that has been really, maybe they were a teacher and decided to do parenting doula work, or they were a parent and decided, I want to work with children, with families that have children with disabilities because I've been through it, or things like that. And I think there's a lot of pressure on families sometimes to just figure it out. And so I would encourage, if you are someone out there that feels like, wow, I'm doing this all alone, that you should think about seeking out a parenting doula, um, because they can help you with the education system. They can help you find out about different schools, the entry to school. They can also help you with parenting in general. I I remember getting all these books on parenting when I first knew that I was going to become a mom, and I don't think there is a book that is going to tell you how to deal with your individual child. Every child is different, and there's no cookie cutter approach. I think your child is going to be something that may not be in a book or maybe in a book. But I think parenting is very explorative, and I think it's really helpful to have someone who has that experience as a parenting doula, just to step in where you may have questions as well, or you want to do a different approach that was done to you, because sometimes um, we've been through things that were not healthy, and we want to find out, well, what's a healthier approach, and that's really honorable to do as well.
Okay. Yeah. So that's really good information for those parents. But like I said, sometimes parents don't catch those issues until sometimes it's too a little too late. But
Yeah.
you know, some people, like I said, they just don't realize that the child is going through something, not unless the teacher or a counselor or someone picks it up, like something's going on with your child. So I think that is good that you have something like that in place, because parenting is definitely very challenging for many people.
Yeah.
Some people don't know where to turn to. I mean, I was a teen parent growing up. Luckily, I don't know, I just was able to figure everything out. And I was able, I don't know, I just was able, it's just like a maternal instinct. I was
Yeah.
able to kind of go through those processes, and didn't really have that backing or support at the time. But that is very important. I've come across people who just break down when they don't know what to do with their kids. They just
Yeah.
break down.
Yeah.
So it's good that you have that service, especially um, the aging service. I think that was really, really good, because we
Yeah.
all deal with aging parents. So an aging doula, I think, is also another great one for people, because people don't know where to turn when they're dealing with parents that are aging. Parents are coming with Alzheimer's now. Parents are coming with dementia now, and many people, it's very challenging to deal with those illnesses. And you have parents that are, getting cancer and other illnesses, and sometimes they get their personality changes dramatically. And because they are already set in their ways, it's almost impossible to break it. So having that resource is amazing. And I mean, you could, if you want to elaborate a little bit more about what that looks like, an aging doula dealing with aging parents, because there's so most all of us are going to have to deal with it eventually, an aging parent.
Yeah, definitely. I think that transition of once your parents start to become older, and then you become a caregiver, that's a huge transition. And I think caregivers need care too. And so that's a way to bring in and help bring in balance, is seeking out a doula for either end of life or aging doula, depending on your needs. Um, I can speak for a situation that happened personally. Is my mother's father, once he was at that end of life stage, and was in the hospital, and they're like, he doesn't have much longer. I knew that, like, because I did the trainings, that it would be so amazing if I made those last few moments with him special. And so I think different cultures have different ways of approaching this. And I think in the Western part of the world, we don't really talk about death that much, or end of life, or even transitions. We just, like, you just got to deal with it, or don't talk about it. And it's so important to really reflect on and talk about these things because they're a reality. And so when my grandfather was in that position, I knew that because I had this training, that I can do something special for him. And so I brought my chakra bowls and I played them for him. I brought a chacapa, which is like a really interesting, like indigenous instrument that you can shake and it makes a sound and it removes negative energy. Um, we we did so many things to make sure that we cut his nails. We gave him massage. We combed his hair, cleaned his ears, and just gave him a loving, comfortable space. He was not verbal though, so we couldn't really like talk about things that we would normally do at ends of life. Sometimes you have the capacity to talk to the person and get information out that is really healing for them that maybe they never got to explore. Um, and I think those things are they're really helpful. And they know that they're, at the end of their life. And so to have that support, I think is really helpful to the person, to the caregiver, um, to the space. When we talk about having wellness in the space, I think it brings a sense of calm for the person and ease um, when you have somebody that is telling you that it's okay and that we can make this comfortable for everybody. And talk about things like the financial aspect as well, and those very important responsibilities of like having a will. And I think personally, because my grandfather didn't have a will, they took his land and we weren't able to like sort those things out. My family's from the Caribbean, and so yeah, sometimes the government just takes the land and you're in that place of like woulda, shoulda, coulda, and you don't want to be in that position. Um, so I do encourage people, if they have a loved one in hospice, that they seek a end of life doula, or if they need a caregiving doula, that they seek that extra support.
Thank you for that. So we are going to be running a weekly show on the different aspects of the services that you provide. So can you maybe walk us through maybe a little bit of what we might expect coming up in the next, let me know how many weeks we're going to do this for. Yep.
Okay.
Remind me.
Yeah, so we just entered spring last month and around the 21st of March. So we're kind of in the beginning of spring. So I feel like we can still do at least 5 more weeks of spring focused topics.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the topics I think that's really helpful is mental health, like you shared.
Really.
And there is this idea that it's not just mental health, that it's brain health, and that like the approach of like, when you're hurt because you can physically see it in your body if something happens to you, but you can't see what's happening in your brain when there's something happening. So yeah, we'll talk about like holistic brain health, and that encompasses mental health.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that sounds good. Um, will you put out some exercises with each workshop, or how do you think you want to do this?
Yeah, definitely. We'll go over some like high level important topics. And if you want to bring in questions that like for example, you have gone through that you're like unsure about, or that you want to just speak about. I think it's great that we can like maybe engage with the audience in that way, and through like main topics on brain health, just learn together, um, and yes, find ways to support ideal brain health and mental health. What
But
we
what would our the first topic, what would we cover?
Oh, the first topic of mental health, we'll cover some mindfulness. We'll cover um, ways that you can bring in just overall mental well being. We'll cover what mental well being is, because it could be daunting.
Mm-hmm.
um, we'll talk about foods that maybe that you can introduce into your body that are ideal for brain health. We'll talk about physical activity that you can do, and the benefits of all of those topics.
Okay, that's
Having
nice.
the why is so important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. That is awesome. So we probably have about 10 more minutes coming
Okay.
into the show. So if you want, you could, I don't know if you want to, is any more you want to add, or let us know what to expect in the next 5 weeks. Just give us a little tidbit of that.
Yeah, sure. So we went over the week that's coming up for mental health. After mental health, we'll talk about self awareness, which is more of like a reflective workshop that we'll have. Then we'll talk about strength and physical health, and we'll talk about things that you can do even just in your house. You don't have to have the pressure of having a gym membership.
Hmm.
Um, and we'll talk about resources that are available to you, because sometimes you just you want to do things on your own and maybe not use what your employer provides, or maybe just like a major gym membership. You just want to figure out the things on your own. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about environmental wellness, and that is really an interesting topic. It has to do with like cleansing your space and positioning things in a way that really brings in like positivity for you. I think that could be really interesting to explore together. Um, and that also we'll talk about like the north, south, east, and west, the positioning, and like if you remember the compass when you were growing up and seeing those on maps, those are all important in your space as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then work life balance. Um, that's a really important topic, because sometimes work does come into your personal life, and so how can we have those strong boundaries? How can we feel fulfilled and do purpose work, um, so that we feel balanced and happy, um, and and know where to stop and where to end things, or where to integrate things, because there's a thought on integrating things as well. And then for summer, we have family wellness, we have the different tools, we have expanding family, we have in the fall some nutrition and herbs that we can tune into and see what our body wants. It's a really, and herbs are really a gift from nature, and so we will explore that. We also will go into winter, and I think winter is the perfect time to talk about caregiving support,
Mhm.
end of life care support, managing the winter blues,
Yeah.
um,
I was
and so yeah.
I was just thinking as you say that, I'm thinking about like your mental health. Like spring is such a great time, just to open up mental health awareness, and it's such a good plus that April and May are 2 months reserved for our health. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of health awareness events that happen in the months of April and the months of May. And it's good because we're getting past, like you said, the winter blues. You know, the weather's getting nice. People are able to put on a nice outfit, dress themselves up a little more, have less clothes on. So yeah, I feel like you kind of get a burst of energy as the months go by, you know. So I think that
Exactly.
I think April and May are good months. So this is a great time that we are going through this journey of just having mental awareness, mental health, and self care, and just dealing with all of those things and resources for our families. I think it's so important. And I just thank you for allowing this opportunity to share your services and get people interested in learning more about what your services are, and then maybe they could, you know, utilize these services that you provide. So hopefully that, I mean, that is the goal to get people to utilize these services if they want something different rather than what is out there. You know, so this was
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
Thank you. I thank you. I appreciate you and Yvonne for definitely putting this whole program together. Oh, one last thing. How long have you been in the business of in this industry? How long have you been?
So I think my spiritual journey has I've I've been open to this for a very long time since I was very young. Um, and I have always like sought out like unconventional ways of doing things, and so I would say probably since 2019 I was first certified as a meditation teacher, and since then I've been just continuously taking training and education on ways to help my to embody my wellness, to be true to myself. um, I th- I think it's super important to share your experience and be honest with the things that you've gone through, and I think that's how you choose your practitioner or you know the person that you go to, is that you probably have a similarity of some sort of life experience, or I don't know, just you're drawn to them because they have something that you've gone through. And so I would say about 5 years of really in-depth training um, in meditation, in um, the doula work, and the Reiki healing, and yeah, it's been a great journey.
That's great. Thank you for jumping on and taking the time out of your day just to just share what your many services that you provide. I'm sure there will be someone out there that might be wanting to use some of these services. I mean, like I said, the aging parent one is huge because the resources for aging parent, it there's not a lot of resources out there, and dealing with that, it can get very complicated very quickly. So I think that is such an important, that one is my top. Like that's one of my tops. Like the aging parent, having a doula to help you in that way is amazing. And like you said, if they have those resources open and available, that's something that you could explore, find out like what resources are out there for people to get those type of services. So thank you.
Absolutely. And we should probably put together a resource package for this series so that people maybe that may not catch the live can to go back, and if they are interested in the topic could see what type of resources are available for them.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank Hermes Echeverria. She's always a great supporter. She's always jumping on, and she's just an amazing woman. I just thank her always for just her support. So I just wanted to thank her for joining in. And right now we don't have any questions. So if you want to have some final thoughts, you're welcome to do that.
Sure. I have this book that's next to me that's called Coming Home to Your Body. And it just reminded me of just the process of like really tuning inside. And if it's okay, I'd like to read there's dates on each page. If I could read today's
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
April 12th. Okay,
Absolutely. Thank you.
of course. So it's Embody Your Grief, April 12th. If we have experienced a traumatic loss or many losses, we will have a tendency to avoid pain by not allowing ourselves to be connected to another person. And so there's a little paragraph, there's two paragraphs that say, as I sat sobbing in my therapist's office after my last romantic breakup, he beamed at me and said, well, you are so much healthier now. You didn't used to be able to care this deeply, and now you are grieving with your whole self. I guess this is the good news, bad news about becoming more connected to your body. The pleasures are sweeter and the pain is more potent. Since I've become more aware of my body self, I've noticed that I grieve losses not only in an emotional or intellectual level, but also at a body level. I physically crave the sound of the person's voice, the feel of their skin, or the sight of their smile. Losses may cause us to want to turn away from making peace with our bodies. We may try to protect ourselves from grief by separating ourselves once again from our senses, our appetites, or desire. As you deal with life's losses, no matter what form they may take, I urge you to stay connected to your body throughout the process, even though at times it may seem too painful. Pace yourself, but hold on to yourself. Once the pain subsides, there will be an opportunity for deeper intimacy and more passionate pleasure. Don't lose hope. Don't let go of yourself.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I really
Oops.
appreciate it. So that concludes our evening. I want to thank you again, you and Yvonne, for sharing your services and what you can provide. And I look forward to the next 5 weeks and just going through this series and just exploring and getting to know more. Hopefully, we can have some exercises, and more people joining in, just to do some of the exercises that you may do. Maybe give us a sample exercise that you might do.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. And I encourage the folks out there in the audience, whether you're watching now or catch this later, to share it out with people that you think could benefit from this. We'd love to just create a little circle of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again. Share your contact information if people would like to contact you. If they have questions on some of the things that we discussed, let us know.
Sure. My business again is called Uniformed Meditation. And you can catch me on my website, uniformmeditation.com. Or you can email me at ev@uniformmeditation.com, and I'd be happy to just stay connected with you. Thanks for listening.
Okay, and thank you, Hermes Echeverria, for joining again. This is going to be a series for the next 5 weeks. So please feel free to jump on again to get some of the, services and that can be helpful to you. And thank you again for joining and your comments. All
Thank
right.
you.
Have a good
Thank you,
night.
Kenya. Good night.